Well, hello and welcome. How's my setup? Are we good? Yeah. Hi, you guys. It's a little before the top of the hour, but I want to say hi to my early birds. How you doing? Say hello and drop me your name and where you're coming in from in the chat. I see so many people already here. We have Sydney in the house, New Jersey, right on, North Carolina, Oregon, Florida. Hello, Sharva from Alaska is in the house. Ontario. Hi, Canada. Hi, Joyce. I see you. We got New Hampshire, Indiana, British Columbia, Cincinnati, Santa Cruz, Edmonton. Hello. Ontario. Yay. Hi. Welcome. We're going to start pretty much right at the top of the hour, but if you quickly need to get a cup of tea or water, feel free. I won't start early, but I probably will start right on time because I am pretty psyched to hit our content tonight. I'm so glad you guys are all here. Hi, Maine is in the house, and Philly, South Carolina, Oklahoma makes me want to sing a song. OKLA, I will stop now. New Zealand, right on. You guys, it's so cool that literally women from all over the world, no exaggeration, all over the world, we're all here together right now. I just love it so much. It makes me so happy. So welcome as you're coming in. Say hello. If you haven't already downloaded your workbook, I think many of you have. If you haven't, we made you a gorgeous workbook. Please do. It's terrycole.com/workbook1. Why 2? It's not changed in the thing. Is it 2?
It's 2.
Sorry, workbook 2. Don't listen to me. I just changed it. Okay. Workbook 2. There, yeah, make sure I'm in the right thing, can you? And you guys, you're going to see I have my notes and your all of your comments are on my other computer down here. So I'm not like playing Candy Crush while I'm talking to you. I'm just looking to, because I got to see what you're saying. There's going to be a lot of interaction because you know I love to know what you think about all the things and what you need and want to learn. Well, hello, Lorette, and hello, Julie. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, it is the top of the hour. I'm going to give it another one little second. But you can see they've dropped in the link where you can get the workbook. And if you haven't on the other one, please do. Yeah, and don't worry, because really the way we're working it out for you tonight, I didn't want you to have to take massive notes. So we're going to be sending you a supplemental. When this is done, we're going to send you the recording and a supplemental with all of the other notes if they're not in there right now. So what I really love is for you to just be present. Listen, be here, allow yourself to actually be here now without sort of this, you know, like how many of you are like obsessive note takers? Be honest. Can you type in the workbook? I don't know. Can they type in the workbook?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's typable. Yes. Yay. So obsessive note takers, do we have those? Yeah, I know you people. So you know what that does? Even though it like quells our anxiety for like a minute while we're doing it, like I don't want to miss anything. What happens? You miss things because you're like this. You don't need to be because I know you. So we figured it out. Someone said, I love taking notes. Well, listen, feel free to take a note or two. My point is don't take yourself away from the experience by feeling like you have to, because we are taking care of you as we always do. Hope you're having a magical day. Northern Kentucky. Well, thanks. All right. Well, welcome. I kind of think we should get to it. All right, so I'm going to tell you how it's going to go so you know what to expect. I'm going to be teaching for about 35 to 45 minutes, probably 45 minutes. I'm going to try to keep all of this to an hour. I'm going to do my very best. We might go a little bit over, just a teeny bit. Any questions you have, please make sure that you drop them into the chat because Team TC is going to be grabbing them throughout. But you want to put a few question marks in front of them so that we know it's a question, because there's going to be tons of participation throughout this masterclass. So I want to make sure that we can find your question because I'm really going to do my best to hit them all. It's probably going to be a lot, but I'm going to try. Listen, you have to try, right? Also, throughout this whole entire time, because we're talking about relationships, I'm using the the him, her, right? So that's the gender that I'm using, but it could be her, it could be them, they. So just know that I'm using that just because I couldn't use all the pronouns and talk as much as I have to talk tonight. Let's see, what else? What am I doing? I'm teaching you 3 ways to reignite, refuel, or rethink your relationship in 2020. Doesn't that sound good? So we're going to be basically demystifying the mating dance that you are currently doing in your relationship so that you'll have a better shot of making more conscious, mindful choices to create something that's more satisfying. You're here because you want something, right? And I want to give it to you. So before we get moving, I just want to say, like, props to you for actually taking time out of your life to do something for you. Because so much of the time we have so much crap we need to do for other people that I feel like what we need a lot of times gets to the end of the to-do list and somehow always goes to the next day, but never actually gets done, right? Right. So right on you. All right, let's hop straight into the workshop, shall we? Are we all here? Are we all ready? Do me a favor, start by taking a nice, long, deep breath in through your nose. Gently close your eyes. And just drop your attention inward. So I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to your heart chakra. And if you're not sure where that is, just put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath into this space. And imagine that anything that's blocking your heart chakra, or anything that might be hard kind of around your heart chakra, as you breathe into it, on the exhalation, visualize that that's just melting away and that your heart is opening so that you can come to this masterclass with an open heart. And now bring your attention to your third eye, which is right between your eyebrows and 1 millimeter up. Do the same thing. Take a nice deep breath into that space. And imagine that anything that's clouding your vision, that's clouding your knowledge, anything that's stuck, anything that's frozen, right? Like habitual thought patterns. We're going to allow all of that to leave your body with your breath so that you can come to this evening with an open mind, which is a beginner's mind. So I'll also ask you to set your intention to just leave anything you think you know about yourself, about your lovability, about what you deserve, about love. Let's just leave it. Just come with a beginner's mind where everything is possible. Take one more deep breath. Open your eyes. All right. So let's start by you establishing in your own mind, why are you here? And I'm going to already ask you to start sharing with me. So I want you to drop in the comments. Are you here because you're exhausted from overgiving? Are you here because you need to decide to stay or go in your relationship? Do you want to stop fighting in your relationship? And we can call that fighting and or bickering because they're both pretty annoying. Do you want to bring back passion? Do you want to be valued? Or do you want to feel seen and heard? You can also say all of the above. So just drop a comment because I love your wisdom, Terry. Oh, Jennifer, you're the cutest. Thanks. What do you guys want to get? All of the above. We got a lot of all of the aboves. Get over my insecurity in relationships. Bring back passion and intimacy. All of the above. Be seen and heard, says Lori. I got you. Natalie, create a deeper connection. Right on. All of the above. Seen and heard. All of the above. Trusting myself. Heal our relationship. All of the above. Overgiving. Super over it. I want to get more in return. You know what? I completely feel that. Need to decide to stay or go. Oh, Trisha, I feel you. Pretty sure I want to go, but am I strong enough? Okay, all of the above. So there's some reason. The whole point of that is for us to look at that there's a reason that you're here. And really, we're so much more alike than we are different. So if it should happen that you actually don't know me and you just by your good fortune came upon this masterclass. My name is Terry Cole, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I'm a relationship expert and the founder of Boundary Bootcamp and the upcoming Relove Revolution. So that is who I am. This is my jam. But why me, right? Why me to teach you these things? Well, I'm going to tell you a teeny bit about my love blueprint to sort of give you some insight as to why this is my passion, why this is what I do. So, real talk, truth, I never believed in happily ever after. So, my parents were high school sweethearts. After high school, my father went directly to college on a full athletic scholarship. My mother went to work in a factory for 2 years to save money because both of my folks grew up very poor. So, to start her freshman year, she needed to work for 2 years. So, in the first semester of her freshman year, she gets pregnant with my older sister. So, yeah, that basically ended her college career permanently. She never went back to school. Right? She ended up having three more daughters, me being the last one, in short order, so in under 7 years. Yeah, so even though my parents, their marriage wasn't horrible, right? It wasn't like horribly abusive or terrible, but it was really nothing that I actually wanted. My father had all the power because he made the money. Huh. So my mother's covert and overt message to me was, girl, get your education on, finish it, and make your own money so that maybe one day in the far future, for you, love can be a choice and not a need, which is what it was for her. I do believe that she felt pretty trapped in the marriage. And since I'm very coachable, I took that to heart. So obviously, I finished school. Then I went on to create a rocking career as a talent agent representing supermodels and celebrities, negotiating contracts, making my own money, right? I was doing exactly what my mother told me to do. And I was sort of secretly thinking, okay, this is good. Like, who needs lasting love or marriage when I have this amazing career and I've got all of this freedom? And secretly, I thought, because I really can't actually have both, right? I can't really have this career and have the love thing because that's not the model that I saw, right? My mother gave up everything, in my mother's experience, marriage was like the dream killer. Like, I've got these dreams, I'm going to work to make them happen. And then I get married and all of those dreams go away. So where was the profound pivot for me was I got myself into therapy because I was confused about the love thing. As much as I kind of accepted that maybe I was unlucky in love, there was a little teeny spark of hope for me that maybe it could be different. And this therapist helped me see that just because that was basically my parents' love story, they didn't have a happy ending. They got divorced when I was 13 after my mother had an affair with her boss at the IGA. That's not what broke them up. That's just actually what happened. It's like that's what happened for them. But my therapist's point was, hey, that's just what happened for them. That doesn't mean that that is what has to be for you or like that's your only choice. So what I learned was that there was all of this material, what I now have named my downloaded love blueprint, that was in this part of my mind that I was not able to access because I didn't even friggin' know it was there. So through therapy, I was able to basically go in there and she was able to help me see all of these limiting beliefs that were in there about men, right? Men were people to manage, according to my mother. I mean, she didn't say that, but she didn't have to because I knew exactly that that's what she thought. And then I got real with myself. Like, I don't want to be with the man that I have to manage. Like managing someone else. Why? I don't want that to be my job. That sounds terrible. What if I had the courage to believe that I could attract a relationship with someone who was really like a real partner? Someone who was really like my actual best friend, a real ally, but someone who I continued to want to actually make out with. Could that happen in my life if I had the courage? And honestly, within 6 months of discovering all of this crap that was in the basement of my mind, my husband, Victor, many of you know my story, I've been married for 22 years, very happily, waltzed into my life. Would I have recognized him had I not gotten that crap out of there? I don't know. Probably not. So I know for sure that you can change your mindset and that things can change. But this is what got me super amped about sharing this possibility. Literally, it became like my life's work is helping women build, create, and sustain epic, real love in their lives because I was someone who didn't think it was possible, and it is. So it has happened. So why do I teach this? Well, you know why? Because I know that struggle firsthand, because obviously Vic wasn't my first relationship, right? So I had many other relationships before that with many of you, and all of the things that you've shared with me. It's like I feel like I know you partly because I feel like I am you, right? We've had such similar experiences that resonate in life. So before Vic, I was super confused about what compatibility was. I kept confusing compliance and compatibility as the same thing. But of course, they're actually not. A ton of people pleasing, a lot of over functioning. Hello? Anyone over functioning? Doing things for your partner that they should and can do for themselves. But for some reason, you feel compelled to do it. That was me in all of my relationships, basically infantilizing, right? Treating that person kind of like an infant. But then ultimately, really becoming resentful of them and all of the time that I was putting in. So in the end, it was frustrating and painful. And so I felt so isolated in this experience because I did have other friends. All of my friends from home were like getting married. And I was like, are you crazy? How could you be doing that? I don't even understand. So I'm super honored to be here with you today, sharing what I've learned in my personal life and in 2 decades as a licensed psychotherapist, basically in the trenches with my clients, figuring it out, you know? I want you to think about why you're here, though, right? You're here for a reason. You all said basically what you want. You want to become masterful in love. We all want to be authentically seen and heard. We all want to be loved for our truest selves, right? These are like universal things when it comes to love. We want to matter. We want to feel cherished. We want to be important. This is what we want. The question is, how do we get there? Well, tonight I'm going to be dropping a bunch of gems that I hope will create the profound pivot moment in your life. We're going to be decoding this confusing love code, right? We're cracking the code tonight because it is confusing as hell, especially when so much of the crap you need to know is hidden in your unconscious mind. It's like super unfair. I feel like that is not like a level playing field. So now it's your turn. Let's talk about your downloaded love blueprint, shall we? I'm going to give you some questions right now. I'm just going to ask, and I ask you to share with me your answers as they come up. Were your parents married or divorced? You can just put an M or a D for married or divorced when you're dropping it in. The next question, a little more complicated, is what was your family culture around love and marriage? All right, I see a lot of people, parents were married, a lot of people's parents were divorced. And when I say what was the culture, lots of married people. Wow, I'd say 3/4 married, 1/4 divorced. Interesting. The culture of love and marriage, was it positive or negative? You can just put a P or an N. Positive or negative, the culture of marriage, right? Was it something that was held in high esteem? Or was it something like, did a lot of people get divorced? Or were people like, oh, it's the ball and chain, it actually really sucks, right? So some people have positive, some people have negative. Okay, so we've got almost about half and half so far of the answers there. Positive and negative, yes, I bet that's a lot of experience. Yes, married but negative. Yes, Kendall, you are not alone in that experience. Hello, I feel you. All right, moving into between your parents, was there affection or was there hostility? You can just put an A or an H as your answer. Was there affection? Was there hostility? And you can say both. Look, Candace already said both. Correct. A lot of marriages will have both. But if there was predominantly one or the other, then just put one. Both. People were happy. People were okay. People, there was, hold on, affection, there was hostility. Here we go. We've got actually a bunch of hostility. Okay. And we have a bunch of A's coming in. So it's about 50-50. So now let's move it to really getting personal. Who does your partner, your current partner, who does your partner remind you of? So since we're talking about parents, could it be one of them? Someone saying dad. Yep. Actually, a lot of people saying mom too. Mother, father, mother, grandmother. Oh, yes, grandma, grandpa. Oh, yeah. My mom withholds love. Yep. Neither. Interesting. Doesn't have to be. Brother, definitely. Does not have to be a parent. But a lot of times, These are like repeating relationship realities, I call them, because we are repeating something that's familiar. So think about when you communicate or you fight in your relationship now, do you see a similar pattern that you learned in the home that you grew up in? Is there a similar pattern to the way that you fight with your partner or even communicate with your partner? Do you see it? Just yes or no on that? There's a lot of yeses, tons of yeses, couple of no's, right? Yep, lots of yeses. Ooh, I withdraw just like my dad, Pauline. I feel you. Don't worry, we're going to get to it. People are talking about passive aggressive. Oh, that's coming. Don't worry. Yes. Okay. So these questions, and don't worry, in what we're going to send you in the follow-up email, we've included that for you. This is to give you an idea, right? This of some of the unconscious stuff that you might be repeating in your current life unknowingly, like I was doing. So when you realize these things, some of them, it's like the compulsion to repeat the unsatisfying thing gets lessened. The charge becomes lessened because a lot of times, I mean, these were obvious things. I'd had many years of therapy and I still was like, wait, I don't get it. How is that connected? Like it didn't logically seem to be connected, but the more therapy I had, the more I was like, oh, it definitely is. I can now see this, which of course helps a lot when you're problem solving, right? So you want to learn to recognize and basically stop any of your own self-sabotaging behavior. And listen, we self-sabotage unknowingly, right? Again, a lot of this stuff is here. So how could you know it? You can't. Because this is what will create the opportunity for you to finally be seen and heard, like be able to communicate appropriately, effectively, assertively in your relationship. The question that so many women have had for me in long-term relationships is, and I wonder if you've ever felt this way, you can tell me yes or no, is this how I'm supposed to feel? That's one of the ones I always get. Why am I so exhausted? Why am I so easily annoyed by my partner? Even people in good relationships are like, why do I always feel like I'm 1 second away from like exploding or being pissed off? All right, be honest. Any of you ever feel that way? Yeah. Hmm. Some of you feel that way right now. Yes, yes, yes. Exclamation point. Oh, in all caps. Yes, 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 I do. All right, I feel you. The last one that actually I got quite a bit is, when will it be my time? Like, when will it be about me? And I'm all like, when you make it about you. But we have so many, oh my God, Sydney's so funny. She wrote, annoyed with many D's on the end. Yes, I feel you. Yep, I got you, Jennifer. Um, and the question about it being, when will it be about us? And this is also the mindset shift that hopefully we're going to be hitting tonight, about how do we get empowered to make it be about us and not feel guilty and horrible about doing that. It's almost like we learn to be these self-abandoning, right? Codependence. This is what we learned is like, good. This means you're a good partner, a good mom, a good whomever, a good friend. But it really doesn't, because ultimately you end up like bitter and pissed off. And that really impacts your entire life. That has a ripple effect itself, as you know, if you've experienced it. So we're going to identify the first thing we're doing, the first thing I'm teaching. Oh, actually, no, the 3 things. Hold on. I'm going to tell you right now the 3 things, just so you know. We're going to identify your relationship archetype. So I've broken them down to make it as easy as possible to identify yourself. We're going to determine your conflict communication style. Because really, of course, I can only focus on you because your partner's not here. So you'll have lots of thoughts about them as well while we're going through this. And the third thing is you're going to learn effective communication techniques and scripts, which you see we've dropped them. And there's actually more scripts in your workbook, but I'll be breaking them down for you and explaining basically how they work and what the deal is. And listen, you know, I'm going to do my very best to teach as much as I possibly can, but of course there's always going to be more. So I want you to think about this as just one step on your journey to really becoming a master at love. Right? I want you to continue your education, whether it's with me or with someone else, because you're worth it. Your evolutionary path is your own. But don't stop no matter what. Like, if we're lucky, we keep evolving in this life because there is always, always more to learn. At the end of the workshop, I'll be answering all your questions, and I'm also going to be telling you about how you can continue, if you want to continue this real love evolution that I just talked about, with me as your ass kicking and super accurate GPS. So stick around. So these strategies that we're getting into, they're going to provide the clarity, because so much of the time you're like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. So next right action, next right action. So that's to speak up honestly, but calmly. Sometimes when you finally speak up, you're so pissed, you're exploding, right? That isn't going to get you where you want to go. So I've just chosen the top 3 biggest conflicts in relationships that women experienced in my 22 years of being in the trenches with my clients. And that is what I'm teaching you tonight. So please give yourself, like, close all your other things. Just don't be multitasking. I know you're a multitasking maven. Don't do it tonight. Just be here now with me, with us, because the most common ways that people fail in this process is you have an aha moment in here. It feels so good, like, oh my God, yes, I get it, I got it. And then this is over and you're like, okay, life as usual. So I don't want that to happen for you. Being reactive is another way that people fail. Instead of getting clear with this unconscious stuff, so you can't respond, what you're doing is reacting. And that in a long-term relationship gets you very polarized. Do you ever notice you like fight about the same crap over and over again? Anyone? Has anyone had the same fight? Many, many times? That is so common because now we know the buttons. So part of what we're doing is basically deep. You know how the buttons pop out and that person can hit them? We're going to depress the button for the past year. Yes, Naomi, I feel you. Yes, of course. Because this is also, it's not like just you, right? This is what happens. This is human nature. But there's also a way. There's a fix. There's lessons. There's self-knowledge that when you get it, you change. And when you change, then your relationship dance changes. And really nothing changes until you do, right? So that's what this is all about. Personally, I was completely unaware that I had a choice. I was just like getting through life, surviving the relationships that I was in, even knowing that they weren't right, but I didn't know how to end them, like just all the things, all the bad things, right? So whatever shame you may be bringing into this experience, please just leave it at the door, because there's nothing that you could possibly share in here that I haven't seen or probably done myself. Okay, so let's move into our 3 steps, shall we? The first one is we're going to talk about your archetype. You identifying your archetype is the first step. So the first archetype of relationships is the safety zone. So this is the archetype where you're both really polite. You are really, really nice to each other. You're afraid to upset the other. There's a big need for validation for the other person. If you feel like this is you, just say, yes, I get it. The key indicator is that you want to avoid conflict. That's the key indicator. And I'm going to give you an action step. So each one of these, wherever you find yourself, I'm going to give you a quick action step. This will also be included, or already is, in your workbook. So don't worry, do not take notes. We got you. What is your action step? I want you to create a weekly State of the Union, basically where you meet once a week and it normalizes your experience of talking about real things. So even though it might be uncomfortable, it's much easier to do if you create a container. So I instruct you to start with gratitude on your weekly State of the Union and then move into, hey, what do we need to talk about from this week? So it makes it less difficult because you're not bringing it up and you're not like, when do I do it? It's not a good time. Before sex, after sex, never. Like, there never seems to be a good time when you want to talk about something, because always we go, oh, but it's going so well. I don't really want to bring it up because then it's going to be like a buzzkill. Then you're in a fight or you're upset the thing is happening again. And then if you do bring it up, you're so mad, you're not going to do it in an effective way. So when we basically institutionalize talking, that will help. And actually, every relationship can use that, but especially you people who are super polite. Moving into the second archetype is the people who are the blamers. This is the blame game people. People in relationships who blame the other person for their unhappiness. So what does it look like? Oh, this can come out fighting, all kinds of fighting, bickering back and forth, always trying to win, long periods of being in like total silence with each other, sort of using being withdrawn and anger as to punish the other person. Um, it's not pretty. The blame game sucks because there's nowhere good for it to go. So the key indicator is unhappiness and blaming, but the action step is that you can keep your side of the street clean. So that means really work to take complete responsibility for your own actions. Admit it when you're wrong, even if you're with a blamer, because you're starting to model better behavior. It's so tempting, especially when you're like, well, they would blame me. You don't want to get into that. Somebody has to make the change because the blame game really becomes this vortex that you can be just sucked into forever. One of you has to be willing to basically stop the bleeding and talk about that you want it to be different. So that's really what you can do to get empowered, is really take responsibility for yourself and you stop the blaming, and then maybe talk about it. All right, who's a blame gamer? Anyone blame? Are you blamers? Yes, I'm a horrible blamer. I feel you. It's all right. No judge. Yes. Guilty as charged before boundary boot camp. Oh, hi, Vanessa. How you doing? I'm in the blame game. My partner emotionally unavailable. He hates being tied down. I argue with him for not wanting to be around me. I do not blame you. Oh, don't worry. There's many more we're going to get to, Tony. I think I did try action step repeatedly, but to no avail. Okay, my partner's a blamer. He's a blamer. Okay, so we do have blame game going on. All right, moving on to number 3, which is work in progress. In this relationship archetype, both people realize that relationships are a work in progress and they require me and we, right? So if you're a work in progress, you have a good communication, you're willing to do the work that's required to keep the relationship good. You work as a team, you challenge and support each other, and you speak honestly, but with kindness. So key indicator is honest communication and real vulnerability. And your action step is to really just stay the course. Because if this is you, if you're in this kind of a relationship, then keep doing what you're doing because it is working. The more positive energy and communication you bring to the relationship, the better it gets. So just keep going. Is anyone in that state? Are you guys works in progress? Yes. Boyfriend and I are work in progress, but I can be a blamer. I got it. And you know what, you guys, you're going to find that you may fall into more than one of these relationship archetypes, or that your partner falls into one and you fall into one. So no worries. This is all still good information for you to have. Number 4 is out of balance. So both people in this relationship know something's wrong, but they're too enmeshed and highly codependent to change it. So the imbalance, what can it include? Can include, but it's not limited to, addiction, infidelity, abuse. So there's usually a high level of codependency, as I said, but lots of jealousy, lots of drama. So key indicators are chaos and drama. And the action step, I have to say this because I'm a therapist and it's true, is it's really all about your safety. So if you're in a relationship that can get hot like this, that has a lot of aggression in it, that has ever been physical, that is emotionally abusive, you really have to be honest with yourself about how much damage it might be doing to you. If your partner, I'd say definitely get into therapy together if your partner is willing. And if they're not, get into therapy alone. And if it's abuse, actual abuse, then I say definitely right now, tonight, start your safe exit strategy plan. Don't do anything yet. Just plan to get out safely. I have a YouTube video on the whole entire thing. Because really, what's love if we're not safe? How can you build epic love if you feel unsafe? I'm going to say you definitely cannot. So, are any of you in that situation? Work in progress, yes. And divorcing, emotional abuse, okay. I recognize this, past relationships, okay. Got into therapy. Finally had the strength to leave, right on, go you. All right, see, so change is possible. But we got to take care of ourselves, ladies? All right, number 5 is the high emotion. And this is kind of the exact opposite of the safety zone, people. High emotion couples are really emotional. During conflict, they are like committed to making their partner see their part. They want to win. They want to persuade their partner to come over onto their side. They want their partner to give in. And they're like the way that they debate, there could be a lot of laughter, there's sort of shared amusement, there's humor, even if they're loud. So you can be loud and it can be not dangerous, right? This is a style of archetype in a relationship. You seem to love debating with each other, you love arguing, but not disrespectful or insulting. So it's not one of those things where it like devolves into something dangerous. So the key indicator is passion, volatility, but there is respect in the high emotion relationship archetype. Action step. So listen, even though you're well matched, because right, you're both passionate and arguing and persuading, I just want to say there is something to be gained by learning to consciously and calmly, once in a while, listen to one another, right? If you're always arguing to kind of win, you don't get the benefit that deep listening gives you. So it's just a thought, right? Authentic conversations led by curiosity and listening can really deepen your intimacy. So that's what I have to say about that. So do we have any high emotions here? Highly emotional, that's me. I'm high emotion. Nope. Out of balance, separated. I got a high emotion from me, but I can say rude comments. Yes, here's the thing. Again, this doesn't mean it never happens. So when you're really out of balance, right, the high emotion might be super fine until you're super stressed, and then maybe it's out of balance, and then it gets to be too much. So I hope that this sort of gave you an insight into how you might be interacting in the moment, and so just some little action step that you can take. Just try it, right? What do you have to lose to do something differently? I think that with all of them, right? Each of them has room to grow besides the work in progress. And even that, if it's a young relationship, has room to grow. But what I was hoping is that these archetypes would basically narrow down the work that you have to do. And then I would give you a suggestion of something that you could do to make it better. All right. So let's move into, and this actually really plays off of the archetype, which is your conflict communication style. So effective communication, especially during conflict, can be one of the most challenging parts of any relationship. So it's crucial for you to understand your archetype, which we just went over, but learn and to understand where you lean in the communication style, because you're going to have a natural resistance, and we've already downloaded a bunch of dysfunctional patterns of communicating. This is the whole thing about what's in your unconscious mind, is that what I saw, men are to be managed, right? What I saw was my mother not speaking up because she was afraid of my father. He wasn't, horribly abusive or anything, but he was emotionally not there. So there was fear. So I was very much a watcher in my relationships, like, what's their mood? How are they behaving? How should I behave to make sure that if their bad mood doesn't go worse, maybe that is managing someone. It's fucking exhausting. And you want to talk about having it never be about you. When your life is about managing other people, it's literally never about you. But I didn't realize that I had set it up that way because it was set up that way in my unconscious mind. It is what I had seen. So let's move into communication styles. They really can only fall into two categories. I put these in your workbooks for you, but really it can only be effective and ineffective. That's it. So let's just quickly go over effective, and you can imagine. But as I'm going over them, I want you to try to identify where you see yourself in the behaviors that I'm describing. So what is indirect, right? It's not getting to the point, never clearly stating your intention or what's going on. Passive communication, timid, reserved. You're actually not saying it, or you're saying it a little, but not the whole thing. What about antagonistic? You're angry, aggressive, hostile in tone. Cryptic. Oh my God, I feel like honestly, women are like the queens of cryptic communication, where you're like, well, they should just figure it out, but they don't figure it out, right? Amanda said, he's timid, I'm explosive. Okay. So you already see where your patterns are. What about hidden communication? That your true agenda is never directly stated. I was the queen of that when I was in my 20s, just beating around the bush, implying, but never saying. And I wanted them to just get to it so I didn't have to be vulnerable and ask, right? Nonverbal. This is an ineffective way where you're communicating through body language. Could be slamming a door, rolling an eye, heavy sighing. Anybody? What about one way, where they do all the talking and you don't, you do all the talking and they don't, or you don't listen or they don't listen? What about unresponsive? There's little interest in the perspective or the needs of the other partner. And what about off base? This one is the most crazy making for me, where you feel like someone is like intentionally misunderstanding what you're saying and then making it be something that it's not. And then, I mean, the real extreme of that is just dishonest communication, where you're literally lying, making false statements, and false statements are substituted for true feelings, thoughts, and needs. So, did you see yourself in any of those? Anybody? Oh, yes, gaslighting. That's correct, Lou. That's exactly what the liar is doing. Yes, I'm so nonverbal. Haha. Oh, I feel you so much. Ash, I so feel you, because I still have that desire, but I make myself actually talk. Unresponsive. Yes. The whole, oh, is something wrong? And you're like, why? I'm fine. And then look out the window like this for like 20 minutes, saying nothing during the drive. You're fine. You don't look fine. I'm fine. I said, I'm just tired. Like then they ask and then we're mad. Oh, I mean, I can't imagine that anyone here hasn't done this at some point. Let's move into the more effective type or style of communication. That would be, of course, direct, the opposite of indirect. So to the point, leaving no doubt as to the meaning. So the best of that is assertive. So not afraid to state what you want or why. Also being congenial. How about being friendly? How about being nice? I don't mean overly nice. I just mean like generally, if you don't have a reason to not be nice, just be nice. Clear, right? So your underlying issue is you're actually articulating it. Open. So you're not intentionally trying to give like meta messages or the nonverbal stuff where it's basically like communicating in code, except the other person doesn't have the key, right? It's verbal, direct communication. You actually use clear language to express your ideas and how you feel. Also, it's two-way. You talk and they listen, they talk and you listen. Responsive, attention is paid to the needs and the perspective of the other person. And honest, your true feelings, thoughts, and needs are stated. So, do you see yourself in that list? Clear, open, clear is kind. Yes, it is, Teresa. I totally say I'm fine, Trisha. I feel you. I try so hard not to. Some people are saying explosive. Yes, I do that. I'm a mix of several of the first you mentioned, several of the positive ones, right? So I think we're all going to be a mix. But these lists are for you, and why I gave them to you is because I want you to be able to look and see, what am I doing? If you're in a repeated conflict, like what actually are you bringing? Because you know what? No matter how we slice it, you're 50% of every single thing that goes down in your relationship. That's just the only way it could be. 50 you, 50 them. That's it. So even if they're a big jerk, even if they're terrible, right? Your 50% is staying. Your 50% is not like making them get into therapy or not ending the relationship, So sometimes that's like a bitter pill to swallow. Like when I first really got it, I was like, really? I'm 50% even though that idiot cheated on me? My therapist was like, well, kind of, because what did you do after he cheated on you? I was like, I didn't talk to him for a long time, but then she's like, right, and then what? I was like, got back together with him. She's like, correct. So that would be your 50%. So I started understanding like, oh, I actually had a choice. And instead of choosing to stay away from the cheater, when he sweet talked me, I went back to him. That's my 50% right there. I wonder if any of you have had that experience. I bet you have. I don't wish it on you, though. I hope you say no. I hope you say I never had that experience, because it is so painful. And maybe you were the cheater, and that's okay too, because all this stuff is misguided. We're not doing it because we're evil. I wasn't doing any of the wrong things I was doing because I'm a bad person, and neither do you. It's really lack of knowledge, lack of self-knowledge, and then lack of technical skills. Like once I know it, now what do I do with it? How do I change it? What is the next right action, right? That is what we need. So right now, our next right action is to move into our smart step number 3, which is learning effective communication technique and scripts. So I've given you a bunch of scripts. So I'm going to give you a tip for each one of the top 5 communication issues. The top 3, sorry, communication issues that people have in relationships. Before we do that, though, I just want to give you a foundational thing to think about, right? For effective communication, there's a couple of things that you really just have to do or can't do, or it's almost impossible to create effective communication. And yes, it would be fantastic if your partner was on board to do this stuff with you. It would make it way easier and more effective. But I want you to get familiar with it all first before you got to get them into it, So start with when you're arguing, no kitchen sinking it. What does that mean? I know you guys know. It means you can't bring up shit from 1978. It means because you didn't like where he parked the car or she parked the car today. We can't let it build up and then be like, yeah, like last year in 1978, because what happens is then we never ever get to resolving anything. We're just too busy throwing shit up from the past, which does not work. It's really hard when you're mad, but at some point you have to choose to be loving, right? Over choosing to be right? There has to be a point where sometimes our partner will be compromised for whatever reason. Sometimes we will be compromised for whatever reason. Vic and I have an agreement. Whoever is cracking up first, the other person must not crack up at that moment. If I'm cracking up, he needs to be fucking normal and be able to be like, hey, babe, it's going to be okay. Let me get you a cup of tea. Do something to help me, rather than taking it personally or him thinking that me cracking up is about him, because it really isn't. And if he's cracking up, no matter how stressed I might be about something, I know our agreement and I do my best to help him. What can I do? Right? What is there anything I can do? Like, what would be helpful right now? So that's one of our rules. And even if they're acting like a jerk, that means I'm being loving instead of pointing out that he's being a jerk, because I know he's under stress. Make sense? I'm not saying put up with shit. You guys get that, right? That's never, ever going to be my advice. It's just that sometimes in a long-term relationship, we've got to find that place in the middle. And when you know the person and when you really know yourself, you know you're not putting up with shit. You're being loving in that moment because that person is cracking up. Okay. You want to use I statements, right? When you communicate your experience, not how bad, stupid, or insensitive they were or are. Right? We're always talking about our experience. Also, when you're talking, insist that you give each other your full attention. Nobody looking at their friggin' phone while you're talking about, I want to say something important and or anything. But I know that that's like a lot for some people. If you've got a partner or you might be addicted to one of your devices, it's a defense mechanism. It's a way not to feel. I get it. But I got to say it's super detrimental. We're now talking about effective communication. Get off your device. If you can, mirror back what you think the person is saying, right? So you can actually get confirmation. If I heard you right, you were upset because, or you would like me to, did I get that right? Now, again, be great if your partner would do this with you, but so much of the time you'd be shocked at how often you got it wrong, or moreover, how often they get it wrong. If it gets hot, agree to take a timeout. So if you know that you might be getting into a place where now people are going to start saying things they can't take back. Words are weapons. We know this. So if they're starting to be weapons, anyone can call a timeout. Hey, let's come back to this later when we're not so pissed off. So I hope that was helpful. Let's move into communication issue number 1. Listening to talk, not understand. So let's talk about the tip. I'm going to ask you to listen with an open heart and an open mind. Listen with the intention of understanding your person, right? So what does that look like? That looks like saying, tell me more about that. Can you say more? So then what happened? What do you think you should do? So then what did she do? Right? When you are listening with the desire to understand, you know the questions to ask. If you are listening to gather evidence so that you'll have a case against them later about something, or if you're listening because you want an opening to jump in and talk about yourself, none of that is obviously effective communication. So Create, what else can you do in this tip that I'm giving you? Create regular dates, like I was talking about with one of the archetypes, to do a State of the Union, the way the polite people are now going to do it. You can do it in your relationship, even if you're not the polite people. A regular date to discuss things openly, because this really does normalize problem solving, which is what we want to do. And here's a script. I have something important I'd like to share with you. Can you please let me finish my thought before interjecting yours, assuming you might have love, who is an interrupter. I promise to do the same for you so that we might both be fully understood. So again, these are scripts. They're like the basis for the script. Change them any way you want. Don't use them at all. If you go, I could never say that. I just wanted to put in words, something that would give you a starting point to be like, okay, well, maybe I wouldn't say that, but I could change it to this, and I think I could. All right, communication conflict number 2. Using the silent treatment to convey your displeasure. Anybody ever do it? So let's talk about the silent treatment. That is silent, but it's dangerous. This is a form of passive aggressive communication, which we know is ineffective, because it might be effective, like it'll get a rise out of that person for like a minute, but it's ultimately not effective. And it's damaging to the relationship because it's stonewalling the other person. It's incredibly hurtful. If you're on the receiving end of this, it is so painful. Ignoring your partner and or the problem at hand, what it does is amplifies that problem. So it does not make it smaller, and it definitely does not make it go away. So before you do that, I ask you to take a deep breath. Become mindful. Make a different choice. Oh, look, and here's a script that you can use instead of doing that. You can say, hey, I'm upset right now. My first instinct is to ignore you and this entire situation, but I want us to effectively problem solve more. So can you please give me a few minutes, and whatever or however much time you need, to cool off and think about how I feel? Then let's come back together and talk it out. I love you. I don't want to fight or ignore you to make a point. And again, you may be like, wow, that's so corny. How could I say that? You know what? You could say it, and it would be the truth. Would it not? It would. And wouldn't that feel good to just friggin' say it rather than acting it out? It is so much more effective to use words. And in the beginning, it's going to be uncomfortable because you might not have been doing this, but I promise you, it will become your new normal with repetition and time. That is what you need. All right, let's move on to communication conflict number 3, inability to express needs. So the tip that I have for you is you got to take responsibility for getting your needs met. It can literally only be your responsibility. It is your responsibility. And for some of you, that means you got to know what they are. Give yourself time, right? Give yourself space. Focus on you, right? Because really, obviously, we know nobody can read your mind. They can't. You've got to gain clarity about how you feel, basically what's upsetting you, what need of yours is not being met at the time, and maybe write it all down before you approach your partner with it so that you have clarity. You've already been through it once. And then the script could be, hey, I've written down a few things that I want to communicate to you. So can you please wait until I'm done sharing them with you before responding? You know that asking for what I want is challenging for me, and I would really appreciate your patience and compassion while I work to get better at it. So it's basically saying, hey, I'm a work in progress. Please don't attack me. Be nice. And part of what I really want to drive home while we're doing this communication stuff is that speaking up, we don't only do it to get our needs met. Yes, that's one thing. We don't only do it to be seen. Yes, that's another thing. To be known. Yes, that's another thing. But one of the most important aspects of speaking up and of being verbal and of being able to draw those verbal boundaries with ease, with grace, with kindness, is that this is where our healing is. If we were children in a situation where we couldn't speak up because it was dangerous or because we'd get in trouble or we'd be rejected by our parents, we just learned not to. But your healing and the healing of that child who is still within you, who is still within me, comes from actually doing it. And then being able to accept, listen, your partner is not going to always do what you want. You're not always going to do what they want. And part of a healthy relationship is realizing that sometimes we don't get our needs met. But all of the needs that we never express, for shit sure, are not going to get met. Do you see what I'm saying? It changes your own self-esteem, how you feel about yourself when you start doing it slowly but surely. And all we're talking about is next right action. We're not talking about changing everything. When we're done with this, not one of you better get off this masterclass and be like, we need to talk. There's a new communication sheriff in town. We're not doing that because this is about you. And when you change, you're going to see that other things change. And certainly the relationship dance will change as you change. So with these scripts, personalize them, make them fit your comfort zone. I just wanted to give you a place to start. So I hope that everything that we covered was helpful. You have a little bit of a toolkit, and that it added some value, added some insight to you. Because really, what are we doing? We're creating like a new vision for your love story. Because we've talked a lot in this masterclass about what we don't want, about what isn't great. So I'm going to ask you to share with me, what do you want? So just choose 3 words. I'll give you a bunch of words, add your own. How do you want to feel in your relationship? Do you want to feel sexy, desired, cherished? Do you want to feel excited, lit up? Do you want to feel adventurous? Do you want to feel respected, loved? Just drop your 3 words into the chat. Yes. Desired is a great one. Up here, we've got loved, we've got understood, authentic, playful, safe. I love safe, Kiki. Cherished, peace, connected, desired, seen, and heard. I want to be known, says Diana. Cherished, says Meg. Respected, appreciated. Ooh, reciprocation. Yes. Heard, respected, cherished. Sexy, respected. Yes. Seen, wanted, funny. I love funny. Like, I want to have fun, but I also want to be funny. You know, Vic is funny, like draws funny, but he's not like that funny in life. I was like, but as long as he thinks I'm funny, then I feel like it's going to be okay. He doesn't have to be funny, because I had other boyfriends who were hysterical and I loved that about them. Vic has so many other good qualities and he can draw funny things. So that is important. But I was like, funny is so important. Authentic, safe, heard, beautiful, respected, understood. Yeah, you know what? Feeling beautiful, feeling desired, that actually really is an important part of this whole process. And really, you know what? Amanda wants to feel calm, safe, understood, seen. I see you, Julie. I see you, Amanda. I got you, Tracy. Heard, understood. And when you think about it, there is so much for us to learn, right? And truthfully, there's only so much that I could teach you in this hour, because so much of these tools and these strategies that I've created over time, what do they take? Time and repetition. So now we're getting to the part where I can tell you that I created a step-by-step process for cultivating real, healthy love. And I knew that it was desperately needed from spending 2 decades in the trenches with my therapy clients and also my own experience. So this inspired me to create the 5 pillars of real love. And that's basically what I built my Real Love Revolution course on. So what are they? Self-awareness, because you can't change anything you're unaware of. Self-knowledge, that means going into the basement, right, the unconscious, and getting the real deal so you know what's what. Self-acceptance. We also can't change anything we're in denial of. Self-compassion, because I think this is one of the most profound things that is missing with my clients and the women in my courses. And the last pillar is really self-mastery, which is self-love and self-celebration, which is hopefully where we all want to get to. And this is the process I discovered over the many years of working with clients and seeing it going. This is the way that it goes. This is the order that it needs to go in to create sustainable change, which is kind of different than just change. Because we could change. You could be a vegetarian and then you could not be, right? You can change your change back. But sustainable change means that the foundational change is so profound that you wouldn't go back, because you would never fit in that little box that used to be the relationship prior to learning all of these things. So, and listen, no one is born knowing these techniques. And in fact, like me, most of you were taught the opposite, right? We were taught to be good. We were taught to go along to get along, weren't we? Don't make waves. Don't be a troublemaker. Don't be loud. Be a good girl. Smile. We were basically rewarded for not knowing ourselves and not knowing what it is that we wanted. So we were rewarded, but it was sure as shit not rewarding. So you may be thinking that your situation is very unique or complicated. Your history is too difficult, right? Your self-knowledge is too low. You're starting too late. You missed the boat. There's so many things that I've heard over the many years. That ship has sailed. I don't need it. I don't care. It's too late for me. I hope my children figure it out, right? But I'm telling you that if I could do it, and I did, and I am, you can do it. And I've helped thousands of women all over the globe in 25 different countries. So if they can do it, so can you. So some of the women who've gone through the course and their experiences they've had, Jenny was someone who came into the course and basically said, I'm definitely getting a divorce. I just want to know, I want to take this course so you can help me do as little damage as possible to myself and my kids in the process. I was like, okay, I think you can learn that because you're going to learn about yourself, not a problem. And after the 10 weeks, well, actually, it really turned out to be 12 weeks, she decided not to get a divorce. And 2 years later, I just heard from her. She and her husband are thriving. Her kids are thriving. So something shifted. She saw no opportunity. And I'm not saying that would be your exact situation, but I'm saying that is possible. And she came in positive. She was getting a divorce. Or what about Julie, who came in before the program? She felt completely stagnant in her relationship, communication blocks, and she was basically using Real Love Revolution to decide, should I stay or should I go? Which one am I going to do? After the program, her husband really got into it. He really got into the communication stuff with her. I said, you can share the exercises with him. He was into doing it. Her marriage was better than ever. And literally their entire life changed. The new communication tools changed everything. The update that I got from her is they just bought their dream house and that her business was completely up-leveled because she really mastered effective communication, not just in her romantic relationship. Because we asked people who go through the course, like, what was a surprising benefit that you had? And that was one of hers, which is just so amazing. And the last one I'll tell you about quickly is Dimple, because before the program, she was trapped in a toxic, abusive relationship for 7 years. She had 3 kids. She thought she'd never escape from it, and wondered if she should even take the course. I was like, just take it. Like you'll get something from it. You know, you don't have to guarantee me that you're going to leave. Although I was like, oh, please, I hope you do. She left the toxic relationship after the program, continued working on the 5 pillars, and her latest update is that her lifelong dream of becoming a published author came true a year and a half ago from sharing her Real Love Revolution story to help other women leave abusive relationships. She is also madly and deeply and healthily in love with a man who adores her, and all of her 3 sons are thriving. So those were a couple of happy stories I thought I would share with you because there's so many other stories of transformation that will blow your mind or give you hope if that is something that you need. Because no matter where you've been, no matter what you've done, you're in the exact right moment, right now in your life to change things, to have your own profound pivot. I want you to imagine, what if you could stop having that same bullshit argument in your relationship over and over? What if you could learn to balance like legitimate self-care with doing everything that you need to do for all of the people? But imagine if you could do it with like a smile on your face instead of feeling totally resentful. That's actually possible. Imagine that you could nurture real intimacy and communication and finally be seen, heard, and deeply known in your relationship. I know that these things are possible in your life. I've created this method and a toolbox, which basically takes the guesswork out of this very overwhelming, complicated situation. It's just about your next right action. So you don't need to know any more than you know. You don't need to be in any different place than you are right now. You just need to know that you want the love in your life to be better than it is right now. So I've created this step-by-step, psychologically based process, right, to help you maintain and build real healthy love in your life and really design the entire thing from my perspective as a psychotherapist and a relationship expert. But I've lived these techniques. So I'm here to guide you in this course every step of the way from my own personal experience with kindness, right, with community, no judgment, with clarity. No matter what you've done, oh, trust me, I've heard worse or I've done worse. This is just a no judgment zone at all. And I promise you that this is the quickest, most effective way to break through your love blocks, right? Stop repeating these old these unsatisfying patterns. So let me just tell you, what is it exactly? What am I actually talking about? Real Love Revolution 2020. It is a 10-week guided virtual coaching program. Now, this takes you step by step through the Real Love Revolution pillars to real healthy love. So it's not called Real Love Revolution for nothing, sisters. This work is designed to rewire any limiting beliefs that you have in your unconscious, just like I did. And basically, limiting beliefs about what you deserve, your lovability, what you're worth, those things are all hiding in that basement, and we really got to get them up and out, which is what we do in the course. You learn how to give, accept, and recognize healthy love. Like, what is it? So much of the time, my clients just didn't know. They were like, wait, that isn't normal? I'm like, nope, that's not healthy. You learn to deeply love yourself first so that you can be free and nurtured in all of your relationships. And so many of us think that loving ourselves first means we're being selfish. No, picture it like this. Put on your oxygen mask, right? Before you put on someone else's so that you don't faint and then you both don't die. Isn't that what it is? So I'm going to design this course over about 2 decades with all of my experiences. I think that you're going to friggin' love it. So don't you want to know what you get when you enroll? I know you do. So each week, right, there's a module a week, and you get access to it from anything, from your phone, from your computer, from your laptop, mobile, wherever you are. And each module has a video lesson, basically based on the 5 pillars to create lasting, healthy love, a therapeutic meditation where we're going to be hitting your conscious and your unconscious mind, integration exercises. Each week there's 1 or 2, which takes your intellectual understanding of this, but then we move it into personalizing it so you can apply it in your real life. Each week we do a Q&A live stream, which is where I answer your questions and help you even further integrate this information and the new stuff into your life. What else? You have access to our private community where you will love the women, these Real Love Revolution sisters, and the friendships that you will make. Total support. It's just amazing. That's also where we'll be collecting and curating your questions for the weekly call, where I'll be answering your questions, witnessing you, cheering you on like a wild maniac. You also have lifetime access to the course material. Amazing customer support, because you know that Team TC is the very best. There's 100% money back guarantee within the first 14 days of the course. Plus, because you know I'm a girl who loves a bonus moment, I created a whole entire self-celebration module. So actually it's 11 modules, and it's actually 12 weeks. Because when I ended the course and I was like, okay, self-love sounds good. And I was like, why does that feel like, like, I don't want you to just be in self-acceptance. I want you to be in self-celebration, like being grateful for who you are, being excited about who you are. So it includes an additional Q&A session, your sex and sensuality blueprint, ways to make self-care super easy, and it's a really super fun module. I'm also giving you the friendship breakthrough or breakup guide, because so many of you have told me that you've had a lot of pain from the female relationships in your life. I'm giving you this course for free because I don't want that to be giving you pain. You also have an entire beautiful energy exercise video library from high performance energy coach Lara Riggio, who sometimes we call Energy Lara. We love her around here. And the Flip the Script on Fear exclusive interview series that I did, basically interviewing some of the world's leaders about love, about other things as well, helping you get out of your fear mind. So Chris Carr, Esther Perel, Marie Forleo, Danielle Laporte, Gabby Bernstein, Patricia Moreno, more, I could keep going, Alex Jameson. Anyway, this is the only place. I don't sell it, and I only give it as bonuses for my courses because it is amazing. So you're probably wondering, what is the quickest way for you to implement all of the new awareness that you got tonight, the communication skills, and get them to actually stick? Well, I'm going to say that I think you have 2 main choices. You can choose what I did. It's kind of complicated, labor intensive, time consuming, could take years. I don't know. For me, it took decades, it seems. And it cost a ton of money. Because let's see, what if you got into therapy once a week? That could cost you between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. That's definitely what it cost me. But more than that, going this route, you might never get there. So what is the psychological cost of really never being seen, heard, known in your life? That shit is way too high, trust me. So that's one way. I don't suggest it. The second way is simple, personal, strategic. Speaking from experience, just let me be your guide in Real Love Revolution 2020. I wish I had confetti. I want to be like, cue the confetti, people. Get the confetti. Because many of you have already asked me if you could work with me private, one-on-one, and I don't do that anymore. Private practice, I have some, sort of business clients, but I don't do that one-on-one. So this is the perfect and the only way, if you actually would like to work with me to do it, is in one of my courses. So Real Love Revolution is basically your only one-stop shop for real love literacy and intelligence. If you know you're already in, because some of you came to here knowing you were doing it, all you need to do is go to terrycole.com/do-it to join now. We would love to have you. Probably by now you're like, oh my God, just talk turkey. How much does it cost? Okay, you can join right now for as little as $97. So that is our most flexible plan. So I've created, because some of you said you can't pay it all up front. That is okay. $97, we have a 12-pay plan, or you can do one payment right now of $9.97, and that will get you actually 2 additional video integration calls with me and a small group. So it's kind of different than the webinar calls because we can all see each other, and it's just more integration for what it is that you've learned. So that goes along with the one-pay option. And I don't want to sound like a Ginzu knife commercial and say, that's not all, but it's true, that's not all. Because you guys gave me all of this feedback, and right now I am shouting out to my loving, my empaths, my codependents. Are you here? Are you still on the line? Are there any codependents in the group? Oh, look, yes, I see you are here. I've created a course, a brand new course. You'll be the first people to get this course called Crushing Codependency. And I created it with another relationship obsessed nerd, Mark Groves. I don't know if you know him. His online handle is Create the Love. Anyway, we're both obsessed with codependency and helping people cure themselves of it, because it is so painful and really does get in the way. You'll be the first people to ever go through that course with us. It is so exciting. So that's a bonus that if you join by midnight tonight, we're going to give you Crushing Codependency for free, because we really want you to join Real Love Revolution. So now I'm going to hit all of your cues. Again, if you know you're in, terrycole.com/do-it to claim your spot. I'm moving on to your cues from Trisha in the chat. I've learned to have my own voice after 25 years of marriage and raising my family, maybe mainly on my own, though my husband is home. 3 great kids. Now I will not tolerate his behavior, but he dismisses or says I've become mean. How do I get him to understand I've grown? Trisha, part of this is a very not uncommon scenario that you're in. It's like you've grown and he's stayed the same. I think that you can just very calmly say, babe, you can keep saying I'm mean, and that actually doesn't make me mean. And I'm going to keep asking to get my needs met. And I'm going to keep asking you to do things. And I'm going to keep having faith that it's possible that you can meet me. So you can keep saying I'm being mean. I'm not stopping what I'm doing. And you saying it doesn't actually make it true. So I'm inviting you to learn with me, read this book with me, get into therapy with me. Let's do this weekend with Harville Hendricks and his wife, Helen. Let's do something. You can give him a chance to be a part of the solution, but part of it is don't let it work. You can say, babe, I'm super not taking that on. That's your way to try to get me to stop. But you know what is so weird? You can't. I've already grown. I love you. I want you to grow with me. But if you don't, I'm not stopping. Okay, there we go. Wow, I got super passionate about your question. All right, moving in. Question for Q&A. How do we avoid kitchen sinking? How does a couple go about a clean slate? Part of it, is you have to make an agreement. Remember, you guys, kitchen sinking is where you just like throw in shit from 1978 and other things. So you say, okay, when things are good, you make an agreement, and we do cover this in Real Love Revolution, where we have a whole thing on fair fighting. What are the rules of fair fighting? How to approach your person on the rules so that at least you have a shot of problem solving, right? At least you have a shot of problem solving. So that's what I would say is you got to get an agreement in place. What if I'm not in a relationship and need some dating communication guidance tips pre-relationship? Oh, well then you should join me because I'm doing a masterclass for single women who are in the dating world and need relationship help on Thursday at 9 p.m. So Teresa, you're in luck. Sign up for the other masterclass. Can this be done with my husband or is this only for women? Well, as I've said before, with other people, you can share things. Your husband can't be in any of the women only, any or group or anything like that, no. But if there are any of the communication things you want to share with him, sure, you can share with him what you're learning. You can invite him to understand you. So yes, you can share it with him, but he can't do it with you. Does that make sense? Because this is for women only. But it's okay if you share some of the exercises and those types of things, especially if he's interested. That's amazing. I love it. How do you not get in the friend zone? You know what? We're going to save that, Julie, for the dating one. Come on Thursday. That is the dating question. Is this the only time to be able to start this course? Well, I do this course once a year. It comes around just like your birthday, just like Christmas. I only do it once. You know why? Because I could never do it evergreen. I can never just be like, here it is, good luck. I have to actually be doing it. And I almost didn't do it this year. And I don't know that I'm going to be doing it next year because this year I'm writing the book and 2021, I'll be traveling around the world with the book. So truthfully, if you're thinking about doing it, I'm not just saying that, I'm being honest. Now's your time, babe. Because another thing to think about is what will be different in a year from now? What will be different in 5 years from now? If you don't do something different, when you're feeling inspired, when you're feeling passionate, when you're feeling called to do it, right? If not now, when? If not you, who? Because it can only be you. And the moment can only be now. Because think about all the things that we put off and we're like, I'm going to do that another time. That's going to be another day. That's going to be later. That's going to be whatever. It doesn't happen. And before you know it, a whole year goes by. So if you are thinking about it, give yourself permission to just say yes, right? Say yes to you. And you're really saying yes to your relationship too, or saying yes to your right relationship, because you might come to, if you're someone who's on the fence of should I stay or should I go in my relationship, you might come to a decision that maybe like Dimple, you'll go, maybe like Jen, you'll stay, right? Like, we don't know. It's like you have to really uncover all of this stuff. Tracy said, my husband has been very willing to try and do anything I suggest. Some things have stuck and others not so much. But you know, Trace, his willingness is a really good sign that something is possible. Like that he can do something. Do you know what I mean? So like his willingness, because so many women say, my partner says, I don't have a problem, you have a problem. You knew who I was when you married me. There's so many versions of that same thing, which might sound familiar to some of you. So there really is something to think about. And don't worry about, as I said, everything that I talked about that isn't in your workbook, we are sending you in an email. So don't sweat it. You might have missed the top. That is what we're doing. So other questions. Someone says, I cannot be there for the first 2 weeks. I guess you must have looked at the schedule. We start on February 5th. That's the kickoff, which is a Wednesday. We're doing only a 30-minute welcome. So you get the lay of the land. And then every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we're going to be meeting from February until the end of April, basically. And don't worry if you can't make it, because you guys are in a million different countries, as you saw from people coming in. So everything, of course, is recorded. We also do transcriptions on everything. We rip the audio on everything so that however it is that you want to learn, because some people want to just read it. Maybe you want to read it at work and pretend you're working. That's okay. We will provide that for you. Some people just like to listen. Other people like to watch. So basically, we've thought of every way that you might like to learn, and we're offering it to you in any one of those formats. And she said, basically, I can't be there live for the first 2 weeks. And really, it's fine. There are so many people who live in different time zones that they're not making it there live, and it does not change their experience. So at least that's what they've reported. So don't worry about it. Come live when and if you ever can. That's great. And if not, we got you covered. Not a problem. All right, hold on. My wife and I have been together for 14 years. Lots of external drama and caused internal craziness on top of our own shit we've had to work out. I'm a junkie when it comes to growth, so I've outgrown her. I'm concerned with the resentment and the kitchen sink and the gaslighting. She's unaware, and I don't feel she wants to hurt me at all, but her growth is slow, and my needs are not met, and I feel over it. Is there hope? Oh, Jess, honestly, you're the only one who knows if there's hope. Maybe your wife should take the course, or maybe you should take the course with your wife because it would really give you direction if she's willing. You say she's unaware of what she's doing, but the real question is she willing to change? Is she willing to grow? That's really what it's all about, So I can't tell you if there's hope. I don't know, because I don't know how over it you are, Like sometimes we're over it, but there's still hope, and other times we're over it and the hope was gone a long time ago. Every situation is so different. I do think that her maybe doing it could create more hope, or maybe you guys doing it together would be great. My husband keeps asking what he can do. Is there an equivalent for men? My feeling is, why don't you do it and then share all of the stuff with him? So you're doing it basically together without him being in the private group, because it's not just him, It's like you're going to be looking at your relationship history. You can then guide him to look at his. You know what I mean? So that's my thought on that. And actually, I don't know of any separate from what I'm doing. Like, I don't actually know. All right. And I want to say welcome, Monica. Congratulations. You joined us. Jane. Congratulations, Beth. I'm so happy you're in RLR 2020. Woo-hoo. All right, Kiki. I feel jealous about my partner's flirtatious female friends. I've told him this and he says I have nothing to worry about, but I can't shake this uneasy feeling. What kind of boundary can I set in this situation? Kiki, you bring up a really good point, because it's not about not trusting him, because maybe your guy is super trustworthy. Cool. If his friend acts flirtatious with him in front of you, it's disrespectful in my estimation. Hey, maybe I'm old-fashioned. I don't know, but I don't like it. So I would actually say to him, listen, I'm not worried about you stepping out because I do trust you. I love you. I don't think you're going to. I don't like that she's doing that. So either you can talk to her or I can talk to her. See? And basically say, I don't like you touching his shoulder or doing whatever the person's doing. And if you want to be flirtatious with him when I'm not around, I don't give a shit, but in my presence, because if it is harmless, you know what I mean? But basically, it feels disrespectful to me. Could be the conversation you have with her, or he can have the conversation with her. I actually think you'd be better off doing it yourself, because it's going to get all weirdly convoluted. Then they're going to have like a weird secret. No, I feel like you should just say, listen, Betty, we'll just make her be Betty. Hey, I have a simple request. Something's been bothering me. I know that you're close with Bob, but I'm uncomfortable. I know you're flirtatious. That's your personality, but I'm going to straight up ask you to not be flirtatious with my guy when I'm around. I really don't like it. I would really appreciate it. There you go. All right, moving on. I'm enrolling in the course now, says Luna. Woo! Let the healing begin. Yes, terrycole.com/do it for those of you who want to jump on the Luna train and do it as well. My husband has told me he's done and won't try anymore. Can this help me shift from resisting his no and our inevitable divorce to embrace the yes to the right relationship? Definitely. I shared those success stories with you, and two of them are basically describing what could have been, like their outcome could be what you're describing, the situation that you're in. So my feeling is the more you know you, the easier it's going to be for you to be in acceptance of what's real, to stop being in denial, to stop being in resistance. We learn all about defense mechanisms in the course as well. So you see the ones that you're using more than others. So honestly, I'm going to say a resounding hell yes on that. terrycole.com/do it. All right, in a relationship now, but we'll break it off. Which masterclass do I sign up for? Today or Thursday? And I'm into the codependent stuff. I've been trying to stop for a while. Well, dude, you already did today's, so do the other one too. If you're going to be single soon, that is just sign up. So go to Thursdays, and it is at 9 p.m. Same time, Thursday the 30th is the other one. So just go to any of my social media stuff. All the links are on there. You got it. How much time should I put aside every week to actually do it? I am married and have 2 little kids. So what you should do is probably how much time it'll take. It'll probably take about 2 hours a week. So that means an hour for our call and then an hour to do the other things. Now, I'm not including doing your therapeutic meditation daily, which I'd really love you to do in that time, because that's like a lifestyle thing that you're going to be doing. But the actual work, and those of you, if you're a perfectionist, if you really like doing exercises, I mean, you could take much more time than that, but to actually do the exercises. And some of them you'll see, like some women will be in one place and then some women will have moved on to the next one. It's okay. If we're doing your relationship histories, right? We do a whole inventory of the most important romantic relationships of your life as part of the course. So if you've lived for many decades, you'll probably have many more to do. So you're not going to do that in an hour, and you don't need to. We pick the most important ones, the ones that might be the most charged still for you to start with. And then throughout the course, if you're like, you know what, I think I'm going to do another one, I want to, then you choose to do that when you have more time. So a lot of this you're going to be customizing to your situation, because the whole thing, right? There's no one size fits all when it comes to love. So the whole entire thing is being customized to your experience, your family of origin, your experiences growing up, your place in the family system, your culture, where you grew up, all of these things, because we have to reveal your current downloaded love blueprint before we can move into basically developing a new one, which we're definitely going to do. All right, the last one, I think this might be the last because I'm way over. I'm sorry. I notice my hubby's mood sometimes bring up this fear in me that I've done something wrong, and insecurities that he's not into me anymore. Any suggestions? You know what, Sarah? This is such a great one. And I hate to say it, but it's a true story. We cover this in the course. I was going to say that, but it's true. So what you're describing is what I would say is repeating reality. Sometimes we call it now is not then. And what it is basically you're having an experience in the presence that's most likely being fueled from an experience in the past that isn't resolved. So part of it is understanding, how is this familiar? Why is this so scary? Where have I felt scared like this before? Is there anything that's resonating with me? And you'll start to reveal, and we have a whole process, a whole step-by-step process that we do within the course to basically figure out what are the original injuries, right? Or go back to, as I like to call them, perpetrator zero, because there really is always like the seeds are planted somewhere. And a lot of times we may sort of overreact in our current relationship because it's familiar to something that's still in our unconscious mind, but we're not consciously thinking about. I know that sounded maybe convoluted, but I hope you followed me. You got it. You got to figure out the original injury and what your fear of rejection and abandonment is actually about. That is my answer. All right, you guys, I feel like I'm going to wrap it. I think it's time. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. All I want to say is that you're amazing. I just deep bow of respect for the brave people, women that you are, that you want to know this, that you care about the quality of love in your life, that you care about yourself, that you care about your mental health. You are my peeps, and I so appreciate you. And I want this for you. You really do deserve revolutionary love. And it's going to be on you to figure out how to get it. So please let me help you. I really, really want to. And don't you want that codependency course? I know you do. So I will see you guys. I'm going live tomorrow in Wednesday Wisdom at 3 p.m. in Instagram and in the Facebook business page and the Facebook Real Love Revolution page. So I'm taking all your questions. That's all straight Q&A tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you, an honor and a privilege to be in your life. I so appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night. And as always, take care of you.